in the deepest chambers of hell, where time is torn and eternity echoes a confrontation unlike any in the cosmos was unfolding. What if I told you that at the very moment Christ was crucified, the veil between heaven and hell was ripped open, and the most shocking betrayal in celestial history was exposed? Stay with me, because what you're about to hear is not just a story, it's a revelation. Michael, the Archangel Sword of God, and Uriel, the Flame of Truth, descended not in glory, but in grim resolve. As Jesus hung upon the cross, bleeding, broken, mocked by men beneath that moment of agony, a divine operation was unfolding beyond mortal eyes. Lucifer, the once brilliant morning star, reveled in what he believed to be his ultimate victory. But pride, oh pride, it blinds even the most ancient of minds. Let me paint you a scene. As Christ uttered, "It is finished," thunder cracked not just on earth, but through the very corridors of hell. Michael and Uriel stepped forward not as messengers, but as prosecutors in the heavenly court. They brought evidence not written on scrolls, but etched into time itself. They confronted Lucifer not with swords, but with truth, the truth he could not refute. Rehook. What if the real war wasn't fought in Eden or on Golgotha, but in the spiritual realm? At the exact second of the crucifixion, Lucifer sneered. "You think this carpenter's death is your triumph? Look at him, forsaken." But Michael's voice thundered, and yet it is through that forsaken cry that every soul finds redemption. Uriel's eyes blazed. He recited every moment Lucifer whispered, deceit into the hearts of men, every lie, every snare. And then he revealed the great irony. Lucifer, in orchestrating the crucifixion through Rome, through betrayal, had sealed his own downfall. For the blood he spilled was the key to freedom for all mankind. Imagine it hell, trembling angels standing firm, and the accuser silent. For the first time in eons, silence engulfed the deceiver. 2 minutes in, and let me ask you if this confrontation is real, then what does it mean for you, Rehook? Could it be that your pain, your betrayal, your darkest moment is the very battlefield where your greatest redemption is being born? Michael turned to Lucifer, and with eyes that had seen the dawn of creation, he said, "You thought the cross was a tomb, but it is a door." And then Uriel did something astounding. He unveiled a mirror, not of glass, but of spirit. In it, Lucifer was shown not his former glory, but the faces of every soul who would be set free by the blood he had tried to stain. The fallen angel shrieked not from rage, but from the agony of seeing grace multiply where he intended ruin. Every demon in hell fell silent. The echoes of the cross reverberated through their strongholds, and Christ, though pierced and lifeless to human eyes, was now moving through the spiritual realm, breaking chains, tearing down gates, calling forth the captives. Do you feel that chill? That's not drama. That's destiny. Because this story isn't about angels or demons. It's about you, Rehook. What chains are you wearing right now that Christ has already shattered? Michael and Uriel did not come to destroy. They came to declare. The cross was not a defeat. It was a court ruling. It was the public humiliation of darkness. Lucifer was not just overpowered, he was exposed, his strategy unveiled, his pride dismantled. Uriel turned, and with one word, finished, he vanished. Michael followed his sword unsheathed, not in violence, but as a banner of victory. Heaven rejoiced, hell recoiled, and earth waited. And here you are, centuries later, still wondering if this ancient battle means anything for your daily life. It does, because the same victory that Michael and Uriel declared, the same triumph that Christ accomplished, is still echoing in your life. Every time you forgive, every time you choose hope, every time you resist the darkness, that's the cross still at work. But you have to choose. Rehook. What would happen if today you stopped fighting alone and started standing in the victory that's already yours? I want you to sit with that. Let it stir something inside. Let it disturb the lie that says you're not enough, that it's too late, that your sin is stronger than your Savior. It's not. Now before we go on, pause. Breathe. If this touched something deep in your heart, don't scroll away. Hit like, share this message, and subscribe if you want more truths like this. And tell me in the comments, what story from the Bible do you want us to uncover next? But hell does not rest quietly. After Michael and Uriel departed, Lucifer stood staggering, not in flesh, but in essence. His kingdom had not fallen, but its foundation had cracked. That crack widened with every soul who looked upon the cross and whispered, "Jesus, remember me." Lucifer wandered the halls of his dominion, and though surrounded by legions, he felt utterly alone. The echoes of "it is finished" haunted him, and worse still, they weakened him. You see, truth in the mouth of God does not fade. It endures, it multiplies, it hunts lies down and strangles them one by one. And then it began an exodus of souls. From every chamber of torment a wind blew. The breath of the risen Christ reached into Sheol and pulled the righteous out. Abraham, David, the prophets, they had waited in faith, and now their deliverer had come. Rehook. What if you're waiting? Your pain is not the end, but the positioning. Before a miraculous rescue, Lucifer raged. They were mine. I held them in fear. But the gates, once sealed, now trembled under divine decree. The keys once held by the enemy, now hung on the belt of the Nazarene carpenter. Christ risen in glory held not just resurrection, but reclamation. And yet the victory wasn't just in the spiritual realm. On earth, something strange was happening. The curtain in the temple torn, graves open, dead men walking. Creation itself, was testifying. Heaven roared and hell echoed in panic. Uriel reappeared to Lucifer, not to mock but to warn. You still don't see, do you? You still believe you have time, that your deception can win again? Lucifer snarled. They're human, weak, prone to fall. I'll turn them again. Just watch. But Uriel didn't flinch. You don't understand the power of love that dies for its enemy. Rehook. What kind of love bleeds, breaks, and still forgives? What kind of king lays down his crown to wear a crown of thorns? The silence that followed was not empty. It was heavy, because in the spiritual realm, silence often means something is about to change, and change did come. On the third day, the stone rolled, not by Roman hands, not by human strength, but by heaven's breath. The grave was empty. The Lamb was alive. Hell heard the news before earth did, and Lucifer, for all his cunning, had no reply. Resurrection wasn't just a comeback, it was a conquest, and every soul who calls on that name steps into that same resurrection power. But here's the part that breaks me, and maybe it'll break you too. Lucifer wasn't just defeated, he was irrelevant. Every lie he told powerless, every chain he forged broken, every curse he crafted cancelled. Rehook. What if your enemy doesn't need to be fought, but simply ignored? Because he's already been disarmed, Uriel left one final word hanging in the air. A truth not shouted, but whispered, because whispered truths are the ones that linger longest. The cross didn't just expose your failure. It revealed the unstoppable love of God. And now, we turn to you. This story, this war, these heavenly beings, they're not distant myths. They're mirrors. They reflect your struggle, your questions, your doubts. Have you ever felt like the darkness was winning? Like your prayers hit the ceiling and fell back down? Like maybe, just maybe, you weren't worthy of rescue? Then hear me. You are the reason Michael and Uriel moved. You are the reason Jesus didn't come down from that cross. You are the reason resurrection wasn't a secret, but a shout across eternity. Rehook. What if heaven is waiting not on your perfection, but on your surrender? So what do we do with this? First, remember, the war is already won. You don't fight for victory, you fight from it. Second, resist the whispers. The enemy doesn't need chains when he can use lies. When you hear you're not enough, remind him Christ is more than enough. Third, live like it matters, because it does. Every act of love, every moment of hope, every choice to believe it echoes in eternity. Lucifer is still active, yes, but he's wounded, declawed, desperate, and desperation always reveals itself. He no longer rules, he reacts. He tries to distract you from the truth that was forged at the cross. But you are dangerous when you know who you are. So let me ask you, who are you? Are you just a person, scrolling YouTube at midnight, curious about angels and demons? Or are you the very soul that shook hell the day Jesus said, "It is finished"? Rehook. What if the greatest spiritual warfare isn't about fighting demons, but believing you were worth dying for? This is your invitation, not to religion, not to performance, but to truth, real, raw, redeeming truth. And if this message stirred something in you, then don't keep it to yourself. Like this video, subscribe, drop a comment, tell me what part hit you hardest. And more than that, what story should we bring to light next? This isn't just content. This is divine calling. This isn't just history. This is hope, and it's yours. Let me take you one last time into the shadows, where even the defeated can still whisper, where Lucifer lingers, watching the world he tried to own slip from his grasp. The war isn't over for him. No, not because he has hope, but because he has hate. You see, hatred doesn't surrender. It clings, it corrupts, it calcifies into obsession. And Lucifer is obsessed with stealing what Christ has already redeemed. He doesn't need to rule hell. He wants to ruin hearts. Even after the resurrection, even after the empty tomb, he waits, watching churches split over ego, families break over bitterness, hearts grow cold in silent doubt. Rehook. What if the battlefield today isn't fire and brimstone, but your thoughts, your relationships, your faith? And still, Christ reigns. The Lamb who was slain now sits enthroned, and every time a soul whispers, "Jesus, save me," a tremor hits hell. The echoes of the cross never fade. They ripple through generations. Uriel once said to Michael, "The cross was not the end of Lucifer's war. It was the end of his weapon." Because what can darkness do when light has already exposed it? But now the spotlight turns fully to you. You who has watched and felt something stir in your chest. A trembling, a truth, a war inside that perhaps you've tried to ignore. You feel the pull between who you are and who you were meant to be. Lucifer's tactic now is not to fight you, but to distract you. He doesn't fear your weakness. He fears your awakening. Rehook. What if your spiritual awakening is the very revival your bloodline has been waiting for? Don't you see? Your victory was written in blood, not yours, but his. Your identity isn't in your shame. It's in his scars. Your worth isn't measured by your failure. It's sealed by his forgiveness. So how do we live? Now first with eyes open. See the battle for what it is. Not monsters in the shadows, but moments in your day. The way you treat the cashier, the way you answer that late-night thought, the way you speak when no one's watching. Second, with heart steady. This journey isn't perfect. You'll fall, you'll doubt. But the difference now, you know who stands with you. The same angels who faced Lucifer still guard the people of the cross. Third, with voices bold. Tell the story. Not just mine, not just Michael's. Tell yours, because someone out there needs to know that they're not alone, that they're not too far gone, that the cross was wide enough for them too. Rehook. What if your story, your scars, your survival is the exact key someone else needs to find freedom? Lucifer thought he silenced God at Calvary, but God turned the grave into a megaphone. Lucifer thought he crushed hope. But hope is not a thing, it's a person. And he walks out of tombs like they were doorways. And you're not watching this by accident. The Spirit moves. The Word lives. The war was real, but so is the resurrection. And as Michael once declared, the kingdom has come. The accuser has fallen. The children of God will rise. Let today be your rising. Right now, wherever you are, knees on the floor or scrolling in silence, say his name. Not as a ritual, not as a last resort, but as a rebel cry against every lie hell ever sold you. Jesus, And when you do, the darkness trembles. Not because of your voice, but because of his name. This is the final exposure, not just of Lucifer, but of your chains, of your wounds, of every hidden place he now wants to heal. Because the cross doesn't just free you, it invites you into purpose, into power, into peace. Rehook. What if the story doesn't end when the video does, but starts the moment you believe? So I leave you not with an ending, but with a beginning. Pick up the word. Speak truth in your home. Pray like angels are listening, because they are. Worship like hell is watching, because it is. And live like heaven is waiting, because your crown is ready. If this journey moved, you share it. Like. Subscribe. But more than that, comment below what moment lit a fire in your soul. What story should we uncover next? The Bible is alive, and there's so much more. Until next time, remember, you're not just a viewer. You are a warrior in a war already won, and the king is coming, soon.